Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Eric, also known as Dad Hats on the internet, and today we've got something a little bit different to the channel. Dragy actually reached out to me. They wanted a review of their new lap timer app, and I said yes. So today we're gonna walk through it. I'm gonna give you my review, opinions, that sort of thing, and walk you through the app. Now, full disclosure, this is a sponsored video, but Dragy has no say on my opinion. They basically just gave me a list of things that they wanted me to go over, like features, that sort of thing, which I would have done anyway. So with that out of the way, let's get into the app, walk you through it, and yeah. So let's boot up the app, and as we load in, you can see all the tracks in your area. NJMP, E-Town, Pocono Raceway, those are all the tracks in my area that I frequent. It's actually a good way to find tracks in your area just in general. If you click on the track, you can actually view the different layouts. So the little number actually indicates how many track layouts for that particular track. So for Pocono Raceway, there was 3. You can see Monticello up there, there's 5, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm not sure if Dragy adds these or if they're added by users. I couldn't figure out how to do it myself, but I thought it was a little odd that, Pocono 2 is just named a layout and also doesn't have the layout icon. Let's go check out NJMP real quick, since I already know that has a small leaderboard going. You can see here that Chris has posted his lap in his Mustang, and that little icon next to his PB indicates that he enabled video recording. You can see plenty of stats. You can see the date, the time he ran, his min and max speed, along with a bunch of G-force things. You can actually see the temperature, which I think is really important. If you're running on a warmer day, you're going to be running a little bit slower. He was running at 53, so maybe he got a good time there. And then at the very bottom, since he enabled video recording, you can actually see his video and you can watch his lap. As we load up the video, you can kind of see everything that he's doing. And in an ideal world, where there's plenty of users using Dragy Lap, you're really going to be able to see the differences between drivers. You're going to be able to see someone who's, number 1 versus, number 10 down the list. Really be able to see the different kinds of cars, how they drive, where they're finding the time. And I think this tool is actually going to be really powerful. And for now, it's just super interesting. I can't wait to see where Dragy goes in the future with this. I have plenty of ideas myself, so I'll be sure to go into that later in the video. Now, this next feature, Dragy calls their 3D view. You can look around freely, zoom in or out as you please, and as you see, this feature allows you to view your min and max speed. And when you hit the play icon, you can actually watch a 3D model of your car go around the track. Now, this is all available when people upload their laps to the leaderboard, but the same is available for your own data as well. No uploading to a leaderboard required. The next tab is the Tracks tab. You can add a track to this list by clicking on one you're interested in and by pressing this star icon. And here you can also add your own track. It is in beta for now, but I know this is a very important feature for all you autocross guys out there. Now, sort of similar to the main homepage where you load up, this distance tab just kind of shows you in a list format all of the tracks and layouts in your area. Next up is the regions tab, and this just essentially shows you, again in a list format, tracks in your country. I know it does say region, but it doesn't mean East Coast versus West Coast, Midwest, that sort of thing. It just sorts alphabetically tracks in your country. Now, if you come over to the filter in the top right, you can actually sort by point to points or typical tracks, where you have a lap. They're not marked very clearly, but effectively it's, hill climb versus your typical circuit track. Next, we can go check out the feed tab. This just shows you recent uploads to the leaderboard. At the time of recording, it seems like there's no way to filter this, so any and all uploads to the leaderboard are dumped here. For example, this guy in his super sick looking Mini is from the Netherlands, and you can see his lap times appearing here. It makes me wonder if this feature is more of a placeholder, since some guy, hot lapping in the Netherlands isn't really relevant to me. I would love to see a filter of some sort. Maybe you could sort by region, you can see all the tracks around you and all the people posting. I think that would be great and very relevant information. Or maybe, it's just a placeholder for a friends list feature at some point down the road. Okay, let's move on to the final tab at the bottom, the Me section. Here you can edit your profile, adding things about yourself like a profile picture, changing your username, and adding your location. Now this highlighted section is where all the goodies are. If you tap into here, it displays all of your sessions organized by date and track layout. It's also possible to use your phone to record video while using the lap timer, and there is a little indicator on the session to see whether or not you have recorded the video while driving. All you have to do is tap on that video icon and it'll take you to your video where it gives you timestamps for each lap. Even has a best lap label so you can quickly watch back your best lap at the track. Also, if you tap on the icon in the top right, this feature allows you to export the video so you can either save it or post it on social media. Now, if you back out of that window and scroll down to your laps listed here and tap on one of the times, Dragy actually has a lap data comparison tool, which is super helpful for identifying where you're leaving time on the table or which way is quicker around the track. At the top, you can even see the video recorded from each lap and quickly compare the two. In the middle, it even shows you what kind of line you're taking, so you can see sometimes I take a more narrow line on entry, and then it'll push me out wider, so you're able to also compare your line and mile per hour and be able to sort of use those two tools to identify which is the quicker line. It's just such a powerful tool. I absolutely love looking at this stuff. I can get lost in it for hours, trust me. As you can see here, the default channels are speed, combined Gs, and your delta, but there are more options available to you. If you tap on one of the channels you want to change, you will get this list of options you can see here on screen. This is a really exciting feature that could definitely be fleshed out more when Dragy releases their OBD2 reader. I would love to be able to see your brake and throttle traces at some point, but I think this is a great starting point. So just want to show you guys real quick how connecting the Dragy GPS works. There is no on or off switch, so all you have to do is make sure your Bluetooth connection is on and then tap the connect button in the app and it will pair. Now, a lot of the times with these apps, there are problems with the Bluetooth connections, looking at you, Track Addict, but I'm very happy to report I haven't had a single issue connecting my GPS to my phone. So when connected, the GPS will blink blue. There's different types of, breathing, pulsing, but if it's actually connected, it should be blue for 2 seconds straight. In this example I have, I'm in my basement, so I'm not near a window or anything, so it's only breathing. That's why it looks like that. But if it's blue, it's connected. Last thing I forgot to mention earlier, so I'll just throw it in here. You are able to export your data file in VBO format, which if you're not familiar with that, that's just the file type format that VBox uses. I'm only familiar with it because I've used Circuit Tools before, and that's the file format it prefers. The only problem that I've seen with this is that the on-screen times are actually pretty inaccurate, and I'm not really sure why that would be. Maybe some sort of export error or something like that, but Circuit Tools is saying that I got a 117.4, but when I check Dragy, the app tells me I got a 118.9, so not really sure what's going on with that. So with that out of the way, we can move on to the review portion of this video. So the first pro, as I mentioned earlier, Dragy might be new to making a lap timer, but they're very obviously not new to developing an app. Dragy makes one of the more popular apps measuring a car's performance, like 0 to 60 and quarter mile times, that sort of thing. I believe it's just called Dragy, but it's clear that their experience in designing an app shines through. My first pro of my little pros and cons list here is that Dragy Lap is the most user-friendly out of any of the lap timer apps that I've ever used. The UI is the most straightforward and cleanest user experience of any lap timer I've ever tried. Everything is exactly where you'd expect it to be, and it just works, which sounds like a small thing, but if you've used other lap timers on the market, you might understand where I'm coming from. I'm going to use Race Chrono here as our example. I've always been a big fan of Race Chrono ever since trying it out, but just the way it looks honestly put me off at first. There is a lot of visual clutter that takes some getting used to. I think it's designed at least 10 plus years ago now at this point, so it's definitely showing its age in my opinion, and I'll throw up some screenshots just as an example and as a reference point. The readability at a glance is an important aspect of any lap timer, especially while on track. And I think you want to spend as little time as possible glancing at that delta, and I think Dragy Lap really excels in this area. So my second pro is that setup is actually really easy. This is a true plug and play solution lap timer. little story time here. Last summer, I actually felt the need to make a whole video guide on how to set up a lap timer and what you need to make it all work. And to this day, I still get questions about it. So Dragy opted to choose a closed system, and what I mean by that is that other GPSs won't work with this app, so you only get one option, which is their GPS, which makes it easier for us, the consumer, to buy the product and not have to go through multiple forums or YouTube videos just to get an idea of what you need. This product is an easy solution for those of us car guys who aren't tech people or just don't want to spend the time to figure out all this stuff. And for $180, I'd say it's a fair price for what you get. The industry standard is a 10 Hz GPS, which this Dragy GPS conforms to, and unlike some GPSs on the market, Dragy's GPS and app both work for iOS and Android. Now, I wouldn't blame you if you were to wrongfully assume that this is true for its competitors, but it's actually not as common as you might think. Most 10 Hz GPSs cost around, I'll say, like $150, plus the cost of a $20 app with similar functionality to Dragy Lap, so the price is a fair deal in my opinion. As we hop into my cons list here, I just want to mention that there are no real deal breakers for me, no glaring red flags, more like minor annoyances that make up this list. So for me, the only real gripe I have with this setup was the adhesive magnet meant to hold your GPS in place on your dash. I was a little apprehensive at first using this magnet to secure something that could potentially go flying around the car while on track. Funny enough, it wasn't the magnet that couldn't hold the GPS in place, it was actually a combination of the adhesive not being sticky enough on my Beerzy's, cheap, slick plastic dash, and the inflexible magnet not being able to have a great contact patch on the dash. Since the dash isn't perfectly flat anywhere, the magnet just couldn't stick perfectly the way it was designed to. I tried multiple times with extra magnets that Dragy actually sent me, in multiple different shapes and sizes, that sort of thing, but for the life of me, I just could not get these magnets to stick to my dash. And roll the clip of the GPS becoming a flying object in my car. So this clip took place back in March at NJMP Thunderbolt. My first time there, and I made a video about it. Conditions were pretty wet. So grip was really low. I was only on my outlap, so I was taking it very easy, and the magnet actually came unstuck within like 3 corners. So you could see it slide there. Like I said, the magnet itself that connects to the GPS wasn't the problem, it was actually the adhesive that sticks to my dash.
My GPS came loose. Can you grab me that?
Oh, no.
I'm just going to throw it away. Thank you.
I didn't even see it in there. Where did it come from?
It was on here. It was stuck. I was testing out some new app, so into the cupboard it goes.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Be safe.
So this may not be an issue for you depending on your car, but that was just my experience. The Beerzy dash is really slick. I've had issues with it in the past, trying to just do like phone holders and that sort of thing. And I ended up just sticking my phone holder to the windshield instead of dealing with my dash. But you can't really do that with the GPS. I specifically asked Dragy if I could mount it to the windshield, but they told me I can't, or at least shouldn't, because the accuracy will be worse. It's going to be reflecting off the dash, and that's how it's going to receive the signal, so it's not going to be as accurate as if you just mount it as it's intended on the dash. So I ended up using this ugly 3M adhesive fastener and just stuck that to the dash. I've actually had success with this in the past, so breaking out all reliable. It's really ugly. It's not as clean and sophisticated as the magnet adhesive that Dragy provides, but at least it works. Moving on, my second con is something I already mentioned in my pros list actually, and again, that's that it's a closed system. This is inherently, I think, a double-sided coin. So if you already have a GPS, it won't work with Dragy Lap. So basically you have to buy another GPS just to be able to get this app and get it to work. And my third con is something really minor, but there is no example data when you open up the app, and it's just blank. So it doesn't really allow you to get in there and try it for yourself, which I think Race Chrono, I believe, has had this. It's just a simple way for people to download the app and try it out. And honestly, if they want to use my data, feel free. I think it'd be kind of cool to see it in there. But I think this is definitely an easy fix for them. Alright, this is my last con of my list here. And that's that the port is actually micro USB instead of being USB-C. For a product in 2023, it's kind of wild to still see micro USB around. Obviously, it's not a huge deal. They do supply the cable. Fun fact, micro USB has been around since 2007. USB-C was introduced nearly 10 years ago in 2014. So maybe it's just, a cost-saving measure, but I'd like to see USB-C considering, that's what my phone uses, and that's most of the wires I have laying around my house. But like I said, they do give you a cable to charge it, so it's not a huge deal by any means. So this next section, not really a pro or a con. It's more about opportunities, I would say, that Dragy has in front of them, and just opportunity for innovation, in the space. So I think the number one opportunity I have to say is that there's a huge opportunity for social features. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that they're kind of working on this in the background. They actually have a follower and friends list sort of thing. On your profile, but it doesn't seem to be functioning as of right now. I think it's more of like as a placeholder. Imagine they built out this friends and following feature, and you and your buddy, you're both at the track, having a great time, and you're both on the Dragy GPS and app. You might be able to use that lap time comparison tool I showed earlier and be able to compare each other's laps and see, who's better where you're losing time. And honestly, just compete against each other would be a great time. See, understanding where you're losing time would be fantastic. And I think that would truly be a game changer. Or even just taking that idea and being able to compare someone that's on the leaderboard at your track, and you can kind of see, are you losing time because it's a driver error? Is it just that their car's, faster? You can compare different kind of cars. I think that would be fantastic, and I'm truly hoping for that. And sort of in that similar vein, thinking about social features, I would really like to see that feed feature be used more for friends or nearby tracks to really lean into those social aspects that I would like to see, build that sense of community. And even just thinking about when you go to research a track, you haven't been to, or you want to see other people's lines, you typically just go on YouTube and type it in and go watch there. But I would love for Dragy to become the central hub for that sort of thing. It would just be a really valuable resource and a big time saver, I would think. So I just want to mention a couple things real quick that I know are in development, so I'll kind of list them out here. Dragy is planning on creating a web-based analysis tool and bringing it to the big screen. So my understanding of what this is it would be a program for your PC. You could log into your account and your lap data would actually sync up so you could easily view and analyze your laps. Whether it's on, a laptop that you bring to the track, potentially a tablet, or, your desktop at home. That's going to be great and can't wait to see that. They're also going to be adding a connection for external video devices, such as like a GoPro. And then I know they're working on an OBD2 port reader for more data channels. The next opportunity I was thinking about is I would like to see more export data features. I'm not sure how many people actually use these. I know I sure use these a heck of a lot since, I am sort of a part-time content creator. One of the main ways that I do that is being able to export my lap data into race render. So being able to see like a CSV export file for race render specifically would be great. And that's probably the one reason why I actually won't be able to use this for my videos. So sort of unfortunate there. Hopefully they get around to doing that if they got time. But I'm sure most people, it's totally fine just to use the export feature that they already have available. Next thing I'd like to talk about is I think that support for internal phone GPS should be added. Framing this more as like a free trial. So these people who would only use the free version think that they would probably never pay $180 for a GPS, but this gives Dragy the chance to show the value of the app and then try to convert them. I'd argue you'd want to funnel as many people as you can into your ecosystem, and this is a really easy way for people to try out your app for themselves. And I really doubt that adding a free version would cannibalize sales of the GPS, or in this case I suppose the premium version. Typically other companies would limit these premium features to sort of incentivize the GPS purchase in this case. So premium features meaning like, access to the leaderboard, data comparison, that sort of thing. Now, most phones only output around 1 Hz for their internal GPS, meaning they only update once a second, as opposed to Dragy's GPS updates 10 times a second. So it's really in your best interest to get a lap timer that updates that quickly so you can actually use it to improve. Not to mention the accuracy is going to be far, far greater and help you in the long run improve your driving. In conclusion, I'm honestly a huge fan of Dragy Lap. I think this is a great app for people who are new to lap timers. The ease of use is just fantastic. The UI is super clean. Everything is sort of as you would expect, and I absolutely love it for that. For those of us who already bought an external GPS, I think some of those opportunities that I listed out earlier would help kind of differentiate Dragy Lap from the competition. If you already have a lap timer app, I think it's kind of a hard sell because it doesn't do that much different. But like I mentioned, I think Dragy does have the team to innovate in the space, make people pay attention to them. I know for sure I'm going to keep my eye on them, especially with the updates that they've had over the last 6 months or so that I've been testing the app. I'm definitely excited for the future of Dragy Lap. Thank you guys so much for watching. If I missed something, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'm usually very active and I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have. Also, Dragy will be watching this video, so if you guys have any feedback or ideas, I'm sure that they'd love to hear from the community. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.